It was blank edition of G7 summit in 2024. 50th option B. It was held from 13 to 15 June 2024. Which country hosted the G7 summit in 2024? Italy, option A. How many times has Italy hosted the G7 summit? 7 times, option B. Who presided over the G7 summit in 2024? Giorgia Meloni, option D. She is Prime Minister of Italy. Which country was invited to attend the G7 summit in 2024? All of these, option D. Representatives from Algeria, Argentina, Brazil, India, Jordan, Kenya, Mauritania represented the African Union, Tunisia, Turkey, Ukraine, the UAE, and the Vatican City were invited to the summit. How many organizations president were invited to the G7 Summit 2024? The president of 5 organizations attended the G7 Summit. Option D. They are United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, World Bank President Ajay Banga, International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Secretary General Matthias Cormann. Which of the following country is not a member of G7? Turkey, option D. How many member countries are there in G7? 7. Option B. G7 is a group of the most developed and advanced economies of the world. They are France, Germany, Italy, UK, Japan, US, and Canada. European Union is a non-enumerated member. Who mainly participates in G7 summit? All of these, option D. Where is the headquarters of G7? There is no formal headquarter. Option C. The Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni had announced in November 2023 that Fasano would be the headquarters of the G7 2024. G7 summit is organized every blank. Every year, option A. G7 is an blank political and economic forum. An intergovernmental, option C. When was the first meeting of G7 held? In year 1975, option D. At the first time when it was founded, there were only 6 countries in it. It was G6 that time. The participating countries were the US, UK, France, West Germany, Japan, and Italy. Then in 1976, Canada joined it and led to formation of the G7 group. Later on, it was known as G8 for several years after the original 7 were joined by Russia in 1997, but it was renamed as G7 again after Russia was expelled as a member in 2014 following its annexation of the Crimea region of Ukraine. Where was the first G7 summit held? In Rambouillet of France, option B. Where was the 49th G7 summit held? in Hiroshima of Japan? Option C. G7 has set the target to achieve net zero emissions by blank. By 2050, option A. India has said it would turn net zero only by 2070, while China has set a target of 2060. India is member of which organization? G20, option C. How many times has India participated in the G7 summit? 11 times, option A. This year it was India's 11th participation in G7 summit and Prime Minister Modi's 5th consecutive participation at the G7 summit. Who was the first PM of India to participate in the G7 summit? Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, option C. First time he attended it in year 2003 in France. Which country will host G7 Summit 2025? Canada, option D. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.